Saturday night was supposed to be another quiet lull in a trial already packed with tabloid fireworks, until Sean Diddy Combs' lawyers detonated a fresh mistrial bombshell. They marked into Judge Arun Subramanian's digital docket after hours, swearing the prosecution knowingly fed the jury a balcony nightmare that never happened. If the judge agrees, 5 weeks of scandal-soaked testimony could vanish like smoke, and Combs could walk back to square one. But why does this single motion matter so much? And what really went down on that 17th floor ledge? Let's rewind, peel back each layer, and see how one disputed scene might rewrite the entire federal case. The stakes couldn't be steeper. Combs, once the soundtrack of late 90s hip-hop excess, now faces racketeering and sex-trafficking counts that could lock him away for life. Prosecutors say he masterminded a sprawling enterprise that used luxury perks, hush money, and brute force to trap women in drug-fueled freak-offs, then filmed the worst moments for leverage. The indictment spans 2008 to 2024, and jurors already heard that agents hauled away assault rifles, drugs, and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil during raids last March.
Defense counsel Alexandra Shapiro counters that Combs is the victim of an overzealous government hungry for headlines. Her latest salvo claims prosecutors planted a false image in jurors' minds by letting Cassandra Cassie Ventura describe watching Combs dangle Cassie's friend Brianna Bana Bongolan over a Los Angeles balcony in 2016. According to Shapiro, the government's own text records prove Cassie never witnessed it, and they hid that fact to inflame the jury. That accusation of prosecutorial misconduct is now racing toward a Tuesday ruling. If the judge sides with the defense, this trial could be flushed, the indictment re-prosecuted, and witnesses forced to relive months of trauma on the stand all over again. But before we reach that cliff edge, let's trace how the balcony story became the prosecution's shock and awe moment, and examine why it might implode. Cassie took the witness stand for 4 relentless days, turning the courtroom into a confessional. She recounted weekly freak-offs with paid male escorts, blackmail tapes stored in a locked closet, and beatings that left her hiding bruises beneath designer sleeves. She even revealed that her 2023 civil lawsuit, settled in 24 hours for $20 million, bought temporary silence but never erased the memories. Each revelation crackled through the media, reviving nearly a decade of rumors that industry insiders once whispered only at after-parties. By the time Cassie landed on the balcony episode, jurors were hanging on her every syllable. She told them she saw Combs storm into her apartment, choke Bana, then dangle Bana's legs into thin air 16 stories above Miracle Mile traffic. Gasps rippled through the gallery. Even veteran reporters scribbled faster. Yet Cassie's own phone, the defense says, tells a messier tale. In a contemporaneous text to stylist Christina Karoram, she wrote that Combs went at Bia, choked her, then dangled her, adding, "I have to stay away." Crucially, she typed, "They woke me up because he was ringing the bell crazy at 3 a.m. The defense seizes on that bedtime detail. If Cassie was asleep until neighbors screamed, how could she personally watch the balcony terror from start to finish? The seed of reasonable doubt had sprouted. Enter Brianna Bongolan herself. When Bana took the stand last week, she trembled recounting the same 2016 showdown. Yet her timeline clashed with hotel receipts the defense flashed minutes later. Records showed Combs swiping into a New York hotel that very night, thousands of miles from LA. Prosecutors argued a private jet could bridge the gap. The defense sneered that not even a mogul's Gulfstream could teleport him past TSA in time. Shapiro's new filing insists the government always possessed Cassie's incriminating text chain, knew the story was shaky, but prodded both witnesses to repeat it anyway, an act she brands knowingly eliciting perjury. Legal scholars are split. Some say a single inconsistency rarely nukes a federal trial. Others point to recent high-profile cases where judges shredded prosecutions for less. Either way, Judge Subramanian now holds the match. The motion's final line lands like a gavel crack. Accordingly, the court should grant a mistrial based on prosecutorial misconduct. Simple words, colossal consequences, and the courtroom drama around that sentence is only half the story. Outside the legal wrangling, Combs himself can't stop feeding headlines. Sketch artists captured him glaring so intensely at jurors that the judge warned he might be removed. During a recess, Combs reportedly groused that a portrait made him look like a koala, drawing muffled laughter, and a second reprimand for distracting the panel. Meanwhile, witnesses painted a pattern of coercion. Private islands stocked with camera crews, consent contracts signed under duress, and hush payments wired from shell companies to scared ex-girlfriends. One former partner, testifying under the pseudonym Jane, sobbed that she still wakes screaming, haunted by taped threats that Combs might leak explicit footage if she ever left. Jane claimed those freak-offs continued after Homeland Security raided Combs' mansions, proof, she believes, that fear, not arrests, drives the empire. Those March 2024 raids are a case within the case. Agents reported seizing AR-15s, narcotics, crates of liquor, and more baby oil than a pharmaceutical warehouse. Social media exploded at the inventory. Late-night hosts joked the bus sounded like an R-rated Home Depot. Prosecutors say the haul corroborates witnesses who described marathon orgies where Vaseline practically dripped from chandeliers. The defense counters that possession of lube is not a federal crime, but optics matter, and the jury has seen every photo. So what if the judge actually shouts, "Mistrial granted"? The entire trial rewinds. Prosecutors could re-indict within days, yet every witness would have to retake the stand, this time knowing defense cross-exams by heart. Memories fade, nerves fray. Shapiro might petition for bail, arguing lengthy pretrial detention violates Combs' rights. Prosecutors would fight back, pointing to unreleased terabytes of digital evidence they claim shows trafficking on a global scale. Either way, settlement talks could surge, with victims' attorneys weighing fresh civil suits once criminal claims reset the playing field. If Subramanian denies the motion, the trial barrels forward to closing arguments. Cassie, Bana, and Jane have already thrust the jury into Combs' private hellscape. The government still plans to call an IRS forensic accountant and a Homeland Security tech expert who decrypted vaults of encrypted messages. Defense lawyers hint they'll put studio executives on the stand to testify that Combs' sexual escapades were consensual role play set inside a music industry subculture the jury can't judge with suburban morality. The resulting clash could make the balcony dispute look tame. Either way, the next 48 hours in Judge Subramanian's courtroom may decide whether 5 weeks of testimony become a permanent record or dissolve in a haze of paperwork. By Tuesday afternoon, Combs could emerge with a brand new trial date, fresh hope, and a defense narrative sharpened by the government's alleged missteps. Or the judge could slam the mistrial door, letting jurors march toward a verdict that might end the mogul's reign for good. For millions who once danced to his remixes, the question lingers: will the man who built an empire on No Way Out find an escape route now? Or is his celebrated bravado finally dangling over the edge? Stay tuned, because whatever Judge Subramanian rules, the next chapter promises to be louder, messier, and more unpredictable than the last.